Lithuania has declared a state of emergency following Russia's attacks on Ukraine.
See,
Lithuania borders Kaliningrad and Belarus.
what's crazy about all this is whether you believe in the pandemic or anything like that, it's just all like, yo, what did Ukraine do to Russia? Because it's just all like, yo, in the middle of trying to get everything back together from having a whole year plus of lockdown and different things. What's good, everybody? This is Mr. Composition, the MC that writes fiction, and we're back at it with another reaction video. Now, this is actually new as far as for top 10 moments. I do watch them. And there's like several that I watched, but this was one that I got to catch, and there's a lot that's going on, you know. So before we actually get into it, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the like, make sure to hit the subscribe and notification bells on so you don't miss when I drop a video. And we're on the road to 1K, so definitely appreciate all of y'all for the support. But this video is the top 10 terrifying things that will happen now that Russia has started World War III. Now, I'm not well versed on what's going on as of yet. I was able to do a little bit of looking into it. I haven't done the full-fledged, so after looking at this, I'm pretty sure it's going to cause me to get into super research mode. But there's something that's always there's a lot of, you know, especially if you're here in the US, you might be like, well, what does this have to do, you know, with us in the United States? Do some research. Do some for me, I feel like, and not like a diss or anything like that, I feel like Russia has been like the elephant in the room for like some time, you know, whether, you know, just throughout history, you know, even when you think about going back into like high school, or depending on where you went to high school or where you went to school in, you know, we learned of different places in regards to history. We didn't just learn US history and different things like that. But what do you know of Russia? You know what I mean? Now, a lot of conspiracy theories like go into, you know, looking at, there's footage of this freaking UFO that I think the Germans were shooting at that was coming out of this Russian cave, like 1940s or 50s, like crazy foot. You know, there's a lot that's just like what's going on there. So with everything that's going on, you know, I always look to a combination of things from astrology and different things like that, and people who kind of like take jabs at astrology. Please take into consideration that your horoscopes and different things like that, a lot of this is very, very, very general. You would have to speak to a professional astrologist for them to fully break down everything. There's no, like, a lot of people like to be like, you know, putting these astrologers in these situations where, you know, they're having to guess a person, you know, based on nothing. You know, they just want them to look at them, and then they try to invalidate them if it's not correct, you know, like, oh, you know, astrology is fake, da 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 da. Your zodiac horoscopes, everything like that, the general stuff that you see, it's mainly based on your sun sign, which is one of 12. You know, like, you're not just one sign, which is why that particular science has been used for hundreds, thousands of years, you know. So when people kind of just be like, you know, oh, they hear people talking about zodiac sign, horoscopes, different things like that, that is a very small portion and not the entire freaking thing. You have astrologers in high points that's been going on, kings and queens that use astrologers to be able to know when to do things, the right time for this, to get married, all different things like that. So I know that was a random rant, But let's go ahead and get into these top 10 terrifying
About the
things that would happen
Russia-Ukraine
now that Russia
situation.
started World
It's a
War III.
very scary and dangerous situation. Now, many people believe that this confrontation will lead to World War III, which is something nobody wants to happen. Even the former Ukrainian prime minister thinks so. He said that the Russian invasion could be the start of World War III. Today, let's take a look at some of the things that may happen or are already happening as a result of this invasion. Starting off this countdown, we have the sanctions. The former prime minister of Ukraine has called for NATO to provide direct military support for Ukraine. He claims that the sanctions imposed on Russia are not enough to deter them and that they need more of NATO's help. On Thursday, Joe Biden revealed new and devastating sanctions going to be placed on Russia. This comes as a punishment for the country's full-scale invasion in Ukraine. Joe Biden said in his statement that it was an unprovoked and unjustified attack on Ukraine, and he promised that the US and its allies will hold Russia accountable. Here are some of the sanctions that Biden is putting into place. He says that he's going to impose severe cost on the Russian economy, both immediately and over time. The sanctions will impact 4 Russian banks and will quote-unquote corrupt billionaires and their family and anyone close to the Kremlin. Basically, they want to affect members of Putin's inner circle. Since the sanctions didn't stop Putin, now they're trying to punish him with them. Should he not ease up, who knows what other sanctions will be placed on him.
Oh my
In our ninth
goodness.
spot today,
Yo, that's freaking wild because it's just all like, it's like this seems very calculated, and it's like Russia doing this, don't they know that it's like, don't they know that other people will come to the aid? And so it's just all like, now does that give Russia, because of this, the ability to retaliate? Like, that's why like people talk about world war, because of the fact of, it looks like sides might have to be chosen, and it's just all like, what is that going to mean? Because it's just all like, we've heard of different things that Russia has been able to do or potentially been able to do when it comes to hacking systems, different things like that. So it's just all like, what type of retaliation will Russia do to the US? You know what I mean?
we have the destroyed country. Many people are fearful that Putin won't stop until the Ukraine is completely destroyed. Many others believe that this invasion could be the start of the Third World War. Again, I'm praying that this won't happen. But the former prime minister of Ukraine has warned everyone that it might lead to that. He said, and I quote, "It could be the start of a Third World War. We should realize it because Putin will not stop." He continued on saying that Putin will destroy their country. But he also added that he's ready to fight to defend his country. Everyone at this moment just wants to keep Ukraine safe and stop the conflict from escalating even more.
My thing is,
as soon
what
as other countries
caused
get involved, it's a world war.
Yeah,
Coming
exactly.
In at number 8, we have the puppet state. The former prime minister of Ukraine also said that he's afraid Putin will gain control of the Ukraine and turn it into a puppet state. A puppet state or regime or government is basically a state run by outside power. In this case, Ukraine would be completely run by Russia in every aspect. It has control over it financially, economically, and it controls its military. It's a very scary thought to think about, so all we can do is hope that this doesn't happen. In our 7th spot today, we have the state of emergency. Lithuania has declared a state of emergency following Russia's attacks on Ukraine. Lithuania borders Kaliningrad and Belarus.
What's crazy about all this is, whether you believe in the pandemic or anything like that, it's just all like, yo, what did Ukraine do to Russia? Because it's just all like, yo, in the middle of trying to get everything back together from having a whole year plus of lockdown and different things like that, they're gonna come and invade Ukraine and blow up their spot. Like, yo, they got ice in their veins, man. They have to give a
So the state of
Flip.
emergency is so that they can get more defense along its borders to protect itself from possible disturbances. Parliament will meet later to vote whether they agree or disagree with the president's decision. It's not just the Ukraine that has to worry, but places close to the conflict have to worry as well.
That's what I'm saying.
In our spot today, we have Chernobyl. Just when we thought things couldn't get worse, Russian forces have seized the Chernobyl site. Ukrainian soldiers guarding the area had an intense face-off with the Russian invaders. The area is now under the Russian
You've seen some of like the stuff like
radioactive.
I don't know if it's true, but apparently they messed up some Russia
not to interfere
bombed some
with
airport or
its
something like
Ukrainian
that.
officials are worrying that having the Russians there could endanger the containment zone safety protocols. It could just lead to another nuclear catastrophe. All we can hope is that Russia just did this to intimidate everyone and they're not actually going to release the toxic materials. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the stock crash. Following Russia's attack against Ukraine, the stock market tanked. Now, I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about stocks, but I'm going to try and explain what's going on. Just don't come for me if I say anything wrong, because I don't know. Basically, investors are worried that the sanctions placed on Russia will hurt businesses there, so they're jumping boat, okay? The Russian stocks ended up crashing 33%, and the ruble plunged to record low. For example, Yandex, which is Russia's Google, dropped more than half on Thursday.
Wow, I
the
never
Dow
heard
was
of
down
that.
more than 550
Yandex.
points and could suffer its biggest drop in 2022. Investors, and I quote, fled stocks for safer havens, including oil, gold, and bonds. Even US stocks started to crash as well. Should things continue, the market will just continue to crash. In our 4th spot today, we have the gas prices. Gas prices have skyrocketed due to the invasion. Oil prices surged by more than $8 a barrel, and that's because Russia is the world's 3rd exporter of oil, and it's the 2nd exporter of natural gas. So if we keep putting sanctions on Russia, obviously their counter move is going to be cutting back fuel sales. In the US, however, Biden is trying to solve the rising gas prices for his citizens. He said, and I quote, "I know this is hard and that Americans are already hurting. I'll do anything in my power to limit the pain the American people are feeling at the gas pump. But it's still sadly going to affect us all." Moving on, at number 3, we have the freezing of assets. Now, I kind of talked about it, but let's go more in depth. In a move to try and stop Putin, the UK has decided to freeze the assets of all major Russian banks. 3 men and 5 banks have been targeted. The people affected are billionaire, I'm so sorry if I butcher their name, okay, Gennady Timchenko, who has business in energy, transportation, and construction, Igor Rotenberg, who is a shareholder in a drilling company, and Boris Rotenberg.
Yo, this is like what I was talking about at the beginning. It's just like this is why there's talks of a World War III, because it's just all like in retaliation. And my thing is, why now? You know, like, I mean, if anything, it would be, of course, while everybody is like severely weakened because of the pandemic and different things like that. But it's like, yo, it's wild. Like, there's a lot of stuff that people in this generation are just all like, there's a lot of things I never would have thought I would have seen, you know, and it's wild. It's a great thing on the sense of like, you know, all the positive, super dope stuff. But then when there's some actual ish hitting the fan, it's like, oof, whoa, what the F? Like, is this real life? It's like, yeah.
The largest construction company for gas pipelines and electrical power supply lines in Russia. The banks affected are not the biggest ones, but banks known to be used by Putin's inner circle. Coming in at number 2, we have the consequences. Putin warned other countries that if they attempt to interfere with this situation, then it would lead to, and I quote, consequences you have never seen. Now, is he bluffing? Maybe he might be scared that NATO will take him down, or maybe he actually means war. What's scary is that we know Russia has a number of nuclear weapons, and the last thing we want is a deadly nuclear war. I think countries and leaders know that nothing good will come of it, but still, we can't help but worry. But what are the consequences that Putin is talking about? Let's hope we'll never find out. And in our number one spot today, we have the massive casualties. As of now, it's said that 40 people have been killed so far in Ukraine, but we don't know if these casualties are including civilian casualties as well. For all we know, the number could be much higher, God forbid. Not only that, but released footage from Ukraine shows just how bad the situation is. There's big explosions, military vehicles everywhere, and sounds of screaming. Also, keep in mind that those 40 soldiers were killed. Many more were wounded in the first few hours. And apparently the Russian military wiped out Ukraine's entire air defenses in a matter of hours as well. It's just sad and scary. As the fighting persists, more people will sadly lose their lives. Again, all we can do now is hope and pray for those being impacted. All right, guys, that's all for today's video. I know it's really depressing. It's scary, everything that's going on out there. My thoughts are with everyone.
All right, guys. So that, I know it's like one of those things, but my thing is it's always good to be informed. You know, I don't want people to look at this and go into a frenzy, go into whatchamacallit. At this point, we're just needing to find out what's exactly going on. I'm hearing and seeing all different types of things, you know. Could it be something staged? Could there be deeper stuff going on? Could this be, you know, we don't know. We don't want to jump to conclusions, but it's important to be aware. So before you go, you know, thinking you know what's going on, do your research. If you've already done your research, because that's what I would be doing, then definitely leave your thoughts. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. But other than that, it's Miss Composition, the MC that writes fiction. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a subscribe, notification bells on so you don't miss when I drop a new video. And make sure to check out my album, Earthship, my cannabis manga style comic book, The Most Random Manga Ever, and my psychological fiction book, Ideas of Illusion, which, if you like, like not necessarily like this type of stuff, but as far as like the cyber security, cyber hacks and stuff with the military and, different things like that, then you will like that book. I wrote it in 2017. Well, I released it in 2017, and I pretty much predicted in that book, even though it takes place in the year 2025, there was an aspect of it that talked about years earlier. And I basically predicted the January 6th, what you would call it, surgery that happened. The dates, it was about like a year off. I said it was like in 2019, and it was a group of people that came together on the internet, and they went in to try to change the what was given down to a person who was like a mass murderer and different things like that. But then, we see as far as what happened and change it as far as the presidency and everything like that. So it was wild. But if you like that type of stuff, then definitely check that book out. It's available in digital and physical. But hey, guys, keep positive. Prayers are with everyone who's feeling it. If you got family over there or friends over there, prayers are with you. But yeah, guys, stay aware. Peace.
Being ready for the return to fall. Maybe I should be asleep, but these full moon vibes got me in the deep. Emotional roller coaster strapped in my seat, ready for a trip to find what I seek. Passing through the galaxy into my office, translating thoughts into deep science. Got the sun in my pocket, building resilience. So when the next winter cycle comes, I prepare with no losses. The work of the solo, it's a bar.